The cameras were rolling. The studio lights blazed down like judgment itself. Greg Gutfeld leaned forward with that sharp smirk he was famous for, the kind that could slice through even the toughest Hollywood armor. Across from him sat Robert De Niro, the legendary actor, the face of American cinema, but tonight, something in his eyes was different. It wasn't rage. It wasn't arrogance. It was fear. The kind of fear that seeps into your bones when you realize the truth can no longer be hidden. The crowd was silent, almost holding their breath. Greg adjusted his papers, looked up, and said quietly, "Robert, let's talk about what really happened." And just like that, the entire world leaned closer to their screens. For decades, Robert De Niro was untouchable, the man who defined greatness. From Taxi Driver to Raging Bull, his name was carved into the heart of Hollywood. He was respected, adored, and feared. But fame is a fragile thing, and behind his eyes, there lived a storm that had been building for years: regret, loneliness, and a past that refused to stay buried. He had come to Greg Gutfeld's show thinking it would be another debate, another fiery political argument, another moment to prove his dominance. But Greg had come prepared, not with insults, but with something far more dangerous: truth. "Robert," Greg began, his tone uncharacteristically serious, "people see you as a legend. But legends are made of choices. And I want to know, do you regret yours?" For a second, De Niro froze. No one had ever asked him that. Not like this. His lips parted slightly, but no words came out. The audience murmured, sensing something raw in the air. Greg continued, "You've spoken about integrity, justice, the truth, but what about your own? The people who stood by you when no one else did. The ones you turned away from." De Niro's jaw tightened. His fingers curled on the table. Behind that world-famous glare, his mind was spinning, images flashing like a reel. Old friends, broken promises, a son he hadn't called in months, and a career that had consumed everything human about him. He'd spent a lifetime performing for the world, but at that moment, the performance was over. "Greg," he finally said, his voice trembling just enough to betray his pain, "you think I don't regret things? You think I don't look back every night and wonder where I lost myself?" The audience went dead silent. Even Greg didn't interrupt. "I've played every kind of man. Gangsters, heroes, fools, but somewhere along the way, I forgot who I was. The man who loved stories, not fame. The man who believed in truth, not power. Hollywood made me a legend, but it also made me empty." A single light from above flickered, almost as if echoing his confession. The rawness of his words cut through the studio. Viewers around the world felt something stir, that rare, uncomfortable connection to honesty. Greg leaned in, softer now. "Then maybe this is your chance, Robert. To stop playing the role, and start living again." For the first time in years, De Niro didn't respond with anger or sarcasm. He looked up, really looked up, and nodded. There was no applause, no music, just a man finally confronting his reflection under the unforgiving glow of live television. The clip exploded online. Within hours, the internet was flooded with reactions: shock, empathy, disbelief. De Niro breaks down. The truth behind the legend. Greg Gutfeld brings Hollywood to its knees. But behind all the noise, something beautiful happened. People started sharing their own truths. Stories of mistakes, regrets, second chances. De Niro himself stayed quiet for days. No interviews, no statements, just silence. Until one morning, a single video appeared on his official page. It was simple. No background music, no studio lights, just him sitting by a window. He said, "I've spent my life pretending to be other people. Now, I want to learn how to be myself. To those I've hurt, to those I've ignored, I'm sorry. And to those still lost in the noise of fame, anger, or ego, step out of it. Because peace doesn't come from applause. It comes when you finally stop acting." He looked into the camera and smiled. Not the Hollywood smile, but the kind only truth can bring. And in that moment, millions of people across the world, from fans to critics, felt something shift inside. They realized that even the mightiest can fall, and even legends can rebuild. The show that began as an expose ended as a redemption. A story of one man's breakdown that became a lesson for the world. No matter how far you've gone, it's never too late to return to yourself. And as Robert De Niro walked off that stage, the studio still echoing with the silence of truth, one thing became clear: it wasn't Greg Gutfeld who exposed him, it was his own heart. Speech balloon. If this story touched you, hit like, comment, truth always wins, and subscribe for more real stories that remind us, no one is beyond redemption.